Hannity.com.
25 till the top of the hour. John Fund has an interesting column on National Review today that, the defeat of Eric Cantor at the hands of David Brat has obviously left the political establishment embarrassed that, nobody saw this coming. Now political observers are looking for other races. Now, I certainly think Thad Cochran is one of them. And you got him going up against McDaniel. And I got to tell you something. It seems like that's going to be a major upset. There is another race, and we've had McDaniel on the program before. New York, upstate New York, because they won't go along with fracking, has been suffering now for decades. Thanks a lot, Chuck Schumer. And thanks a lot, Hillary Clinton. And thanks a lot, every Democrat in New York, because they absolutely, positively won't open up. New York, of all places, has more fracking potential than almost any other state in the union. It's amazing. Anyway, there's a big race going on up there, where in the Utica area, you have a two-term GOP congressman, Richard Hanna, facing a primary challenge from Claudia Tenney, who's a Republican conservative assemblywoman, one of the few in New York. And anyway, Claudia Tenney joins me now on my Newsmaker line. How are you?
Hi, great to be on.
Well, things are a mess up there. I happen to go up to upstate New York a lot, and I know what a mess it is up there. What is the difference between you and your opponent in terms of you say you're a conservative and he is a Republican? What's the difference?
Oh, the difference is, well, my opponent, Richard Hanna, is ranked as the third most liberal Republican in Washington. The National Journal, you name it, Freedom Works, Americans for Prosperity, Heritage Action, National Right to Life Committee, everybody rates him. He barely gets, I think he's less than a 50 on nearly every category. For me, in the last 4 years in the state assembly, I'm a rare breed. I'm the top conservative in New York consistently, with 100 actually last year. So that's the big difference between us. My opponent is really, if you look at Eric Cantor, he averages and hovers around the 70s. My opponent barely reaches 50 in terms of his liberal voting record, and he's even worse. He has voted against defunding and delaying Obamacare, one of only two Republicans in the entire country that have done that. He's voted twice to raise the debt ceiling without any concessions. He has advised women to actually donate to Democrats because they carry the cause better than we do. He's described conservatives as angry extremists incapable of governing. I call that channeling Andrew Cuomo, because we have no place in New York. He's voted to raise taxes. He's voted to fund late-term abortions. He was the only Republican to vote on the Obamacare tax subsidy, tax credit bill this January to allow, funding of abortions or late-term abortions through health care plans. And he stands alone pretty much on that issue. He's a triumphant on that. As far as that goes, I am actually the first member of the state assembly to call for a total repeal of the SAFE Act or the Unsafe Act. I'm also the first legislator to call for the resignation of Sheldon Silver, our corrupt speaker, after he used taxpayer money in a payoff deal on a secret sexual harassment case. I've been continually going after Cuomo and our corrupt so-called Oneida leader in New York, Ray Halberter, the guy who's out there, many people may know, championing the cause against the Washington Redskins. I represent the real Oneidas. I've proven that Ray Halberter is actually a fraud. He's actually not an Oneida. He's used this culture to prop up a multi-million-dollar casino empire using Washington lobbyists, casino interests, and many others. So I stood up not only against the Democrats, but also many corrupt Republicans. So it's been quite a challenge for me, and that's why these multi-billion-dollar super PACs are coming in and spending literally almost $2 million at this point on this race against me. And I'm in much the same situation as David Brat. Although I'm a business owner, we have a manufacturing facility that's been around in New York since 1946. It's been a challenge just to survive in New York, as we're dead last in business friendliness. We're the highest tax state in the country. We're the second highest, most expensive as far as energy. And you touched on the energy issue. Here we are sitting on massive reserves, and Andrew Cuomo refuses to allow us to release and harness that energy and harness the ability to be responsible gas drilling. And I'm sitting right here in Binghamton, New York. As you cross over the line into Pennsylvania, it's like the Berlin Wall. People are actually retiring and leasing their land and doing natural gas exploration and making, retiring as millionaires right across the border. But here in New York, we live in, it looks like a wasteland. So it's been a struggle, but I'm fighting the battle, and I really appreciate any help I can get out there. It's been a rough road running against these actually liberal super PACs trying to run down my conservative record and trying to advance my opponent as a conservative, which is absurd.
I read that there was one PAC. What is it? American Unity PAC, the largest expenditure to date in a GOP primary race. Now, what's interesting about this to me is yours is a winner-take-all. I mean, you win the primary, you become a congresswoman.
Yes, theoretically. There's no Democrat in the race, so there will not be. Mr. Hanna does have the Independence Party line, home of Cuomo, Bloomberg, and a few other characters. But he does have that, and he theoretically could run against me. But I question, you're portraying yourself as a conservative using millions of dollars from liberal PACs, and now if I were to win the primary, now you got to turn around and ask the Democrats and the independents to vote for you after you've asked the Republicans to vote. But I support the same principles. It was a breath of fresh air to watch the entire David Brat race play out as a free market constitutional conservative that I am. I stand for these values. It was great to see it, and this could be winner take all. I think it'd be hard for him to mount a challenge, but I don't put it past the liberal super PACs to continue to come in. They've invested so much in this race already, and I just have about 150,000, most of which I've bet myself out of my own pocket just to run this race because I believe so much in our values. I believe in freedom and individual rights, and those things in New York are under attack more than probably any other state, save maybe California or Illinois. So we have to stand up.
Well, I got to
New
tell
York needs conservatives.
It's very interesting because I read Michelle Malkin's column about you and tweet about you, and it's pretty interesting to me. She calls it the laughable lies of liberal Republicans, and she spells liberal Richard Hanna. He's the liberal GOP incumbent, but I think you've pretty much spelled out his record on spending, on health care, and all the significant issues. And then he's trying to portray you're pro-life, you're pretty pro-Second Amendment. You're pretty much down the line a conservative, a 96% rating by the Conservative Party in New York, which is an outstanding record. And they're trying to say, well, you're not the conservative. So he feels he's got to run as a conservative in the district. That's pretty interesting to me.
Oh, right. They're running just, relentless attack ads. I mean, they're running. In fact, my poor mother, she's watching the Golf Channel now, so she doesn't have to watch these stations anymore.
Maybe I can get an update for how's that 11-year-old.
I'm been liberal. I'm in the tank with Shelley Silver. Even my Democratic friends in the Assembly are laughing, saying, you and Shelley Silver, you're the one that called for his resignation. So it's just absurd, and that's what they'll do. And, I mean, they're saying I raise taxes. I've never voted to raise taxes in 4 years. It's just against my core principles. I wouldn't even consider it as a business owner. We're paying the highest taxes in the country right now. In New York,
all too well.
Property, sales, it. That's why you're getting ready to leave, right?
Unfortunately, I'm not wanted in my state of birth. I'm not
neither am I. We're both. I guess we're extreme. We're not. We have no place here.
Unless they start fracking in New York, I think New York's going to deteriorate at a level that we've never seen, and I think that's the only savior. I can't highlight.
Well,
obviously,
Andrew Cuomo thinks it's casino gaming. Apparently,
no, casino gaming is not going to do it. But I'm very interested. I'm going to watch your race. It's happening next Tuesday. And the winner of this primary will go on to be the next congressman from that district. And so we'll watch it very, very closely. And Claudia Tenney, for better or for worse, you have my full endorsement and support. I wish you all the best in this race. And I hope that people will not be subjected to the propaganda of these ads that they're running in upstate and Utica and elsewhere.
Oh, thank you so much. And please, anybody could, if my website's ClaudiaTenney.com, Tenney, ClaudiaTenney.com, and I greatly appreciate your endorsement and your support. We need all the conservatives the true conservatives to stand up in this. It's what we need in New York. It'll at least be a little bit of a reprieve for us.
Well,
so thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Poor Peter King has gone off the deep end lately, so we lost him. There's nobody left. You're it.
Well, Peter King was up here. I consider him one of the most anti-gun people I know up here endorsing my opponent. So,
yeah. All right, Claudia, I'm going to watch closely on Tuesday. We wish you the best. 800-941-SEAN, our toll-free telephone number. You want to be a part of the program. I wish I could put on everybody that is running these good races. You just can't. Otherwise, the show's literally going to be taken over by candidates. But every once in a while, there's somebody that really just stands out that we want to highlight on the program. Back to our